the setup, the digital setup,
Oh.
cameras, sound setup.
Oh, so when we did the spicy nut challenge thing at High Taste, coming in and just doing that off my phone, I was looking for a way to broadcast across multiple accounts.
Yeah.
And all the software that popped up, it was like, OBS is your thing. OBS is your thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand it until I started having to use OBS.
Yeah.
So I think that would be interface.
Yeah, because I wasn't very happy with the video just because we were just literally shooting from the hip,
Yeah.
And then I've been looking at software and whatnot. That's why I got I have a DJI Action. So
is that the little one?
Yeah, so I can take better videos with better sound and record it and then be able to edit it and whatnot. So I have a bunch of footage, but I don't know the video editing thing, and I have an old MacBook, and it doesn't want to load. So now I gotta so I bought a Surface Pro. I should be getting in a couple days.
Nice.
And then I want to get that, and then build one of those, and then be able to do that, and then do videos and stuff. Not necessarily podcasts or, I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do with it yet, but we have a spare room, so I'm thinking about maybe turning it into a content room of sorts, so we can do. Just different things, food, makeup, whatever, so.
I think that's like I said, man, I think it's brilliant. I think it goes back to, like I said, the original idea on that business. Media is the intersection for everything, right? It can be food, it can be makeup, it can be games and whatever. And if we have to pause this whole podcast for you to take a phone call, you just let me know.
I didn't know we were live. Were we recording?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you gotta tell me that.
No, that's the trick to this, man. The trick to these is to not tell people when we are starting the show. Episode 17 of WTF Carbondale podcast, the podcast where we talk to interesting people about their interesting lives, and we tie it all back together to this little old place we call home, Carbondale, Illinois. And as I surprise a very good friend of mine, William Lowe.
Am I supposed to look there or
no,
look at
you
you?
Look at me.
Okay,
you
cool.
Look at me.
Thanks for setting me up properly.
Hey, man. But that organic flow into these conversations is really what makes them work out. And then, like I said, that nice little intro section, boom, and then you're back into the conversation. And we'll tie into, our businesses and all the media projects and whatever else later. But, I really try and start this stuff off with how you got to Carbondale. And I love your coming to Carbondale story because you still think you're a New Yorker.
Yeah. I still consider myself, from a city boy at heart,
Right.
Actually, it's funny. I was at Caribbean Hut a couple weeks ago, and this lady was like, "You're William, right?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then so she introduced me to her friend who was visiting from New York. So my question, of course, every time is, "What part?" So he lived in Massapequa, Long Island, where I spent a lot of time at because my mom and dad's friend owned a restaurant out there. So he lived out there. I'm like, dude, I've been out there. I've spent a lot of time out there. I think he lived outside of Flushing, where I was born at. So he knew we a very short 15-minute conversation of us just oh yeah, I remember this place. Oh, I know that place. How's that place doing? So it's very cool. But yes, I will hail to the day I die, being from New York.
Jeff was born in Taiwan.
Yeah.
You were born here
in New York.
Where I'm from.
Yes.
We've talked plenty about the ancillaries around mom and dad coming to America, but just in terms of for the greater story, what brought mom and dad to America?
Just a better opportunity. Taiwan. It's there's definitely a lower ceiling than America, and mom and dad were both they were both tailors, so they were able to file for, I think it's a profession visa, or just a visa you can get if you have like a job skill.
Mm-hmm.
And then so dad immigrated over here, and then I think shortly after, I think dad started working in restaurants and whatnot, doing dishwashing, whatever job he can find.
Mm-hmm.
And then shortly later, mom, came over here. So to New York, yeah, and then that's where they started, learning the ropes for restaurants and whatnot. And then they brought Jeff over, I think when he was like 14 or 15, I think. And then, Flushing it's a nice place, but
Mm-hmm.
it's a little rough and tumble sometimes. So mom and dad wanted a better place to, raise us. So we didn't come out as, I don't know, gangsters, I guess. So I'm not sure what she thought we were gonna grow up, being raised in Flushing. So she, my uncle owned several restaurants, in Carbondale at that time. This is
Mm-hmm.
like early '90s.
Mm-hmm.
So he owned like Yanjing by the post office, Kew Gardens in Heron, Kahala Gardens in Murdale, and Kahala Fast Foods, what they own now,
Mm-hmm.
and on the Strip. So I think we moved here late '92,
Mm-hmm.
I think, and then Dad bought the restaurant, and then packed us all of us in a U-Haul with our little Honda Accord, towed behind. Drove from New York. I think it was like a 18-hour drive or something to Southern Illinois.
And then you were here.
Then I'm here. Yeah.
So Jeff was like a teenager when he
Yeah.
came over.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah. He was like 14 or 15, I want to say. Yeah.
Okay.
So we went to, because I went to grade school, and he had just started maybe like freshman year of high school, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
in New York. So I remember like seeing him in the hallway and going, "Oh, it's my brother,"
So how old were you when you guys moved out here? I thought you were like 4 or 5 when you guys came from New York. I
And
didn't realize you.
people at the restaurant, I still get I remember you when you were a baby, and I'm like, no, you don't, because I was 9. I have people like, oh, I know you. You were since you're in your mom's, womb. I'm like, nope. Yeah, we moved here when I was 9. I think, yeah, about 9.
Okay.
So.
Huh. Man, yeah. I guess there will be no confusion now as to what this is. I was behind in my numbers, clearly. So no, that's
Way to do your research, Mr.
no.
Host.
Well, part of these conversations is exploratory as well. Whether I've known somebody since I was what I would have been 16, you would have been 18.
15. You were a rambunctious 16-year-old.
But no, and it just it's in getting older and the story being as interwoven as it is pretty neat, man.
Yeah.
The amount of time that I spend working with Mike in a given month on stuff is just crazy to me, right? The fact that he married Tia,
Yeah.
and I just everything revolves around Kahala.
Yeah. Oh, it's a
Kahala
small
world.
world. Like the other day, I was on Facebook, and then the owner of Athletes, as a Brian, I think she used to be Wheatley. I think.
Yeah.
So
No,
they-
yeah. The Wheatley construction folks.
So
yeah.
they used to be next door at the restaurant, and then so I've interacted with them a few times on Facebook, and then so she had posted a picture of of her and her husband, and I was like, wait a minute, I know her, and I was like, oh. There used to be our neighbors. I was really embarrassed. I sent her a message like early in the morning. I was like, "Hey, I just want you to know that I feel like an idiot. I didn't recognize who you were."
Right.
So yeah, it's a small world, a small community. So
You're getting smaller by the day thanks to the internet.
yeah, that's true. Sometimes good, sometimes bad.
And we won't dwell too much on it because I told you this was going to be a podcast about you and not about group activity that would take more input from both you and Keisha.
Yeah, whatever though, whatever you want to talk about, because it is part of my life now.
It is, God. I mean, how many different things are you a part of because of that Facebook group? I mean, Collaborative Kitchen and all the other stuff. Like,
So,
what are you involved in? What has the group pulled you into?
So I'm in the we created Southern Illinois Eats, and then we have the Collaborative Kitchen, and I run a smaller group. It's just for restaurants to kind of network and help each other out.
And that one guy to constantly post about his text messaging marketing platform.
So yeah, so there's that, and then I've been approached by I think like a realtor out of Marion. They want to do like a fundraiser for food pantries.
Mm-hmm.
That hasn't really gone anywhere yet, but there's that, and then I've kind of just talked with the guys at the Small Business Incubator.
Mm-hmm.
I think they were looking for some guest speakers, and I introduced them to Bruce Irving, and I was supposed to do a podcast with him here. I just gotta schedule a time. There's that, and there's a lot of different things. I've made a lot of interesting connections with interesting people, on through the page. Just people that I never thought I would know. Just random people. So
Yeah.
which is good because I love it. I love talking. So to me, that's I like it. I enjoy it.
Small town famous now, buddy.
Yeah. More target for hate mail.
Yeah. We'll forego that topic for the time being. Maybe for the entire time being. Hopefully for the entire time being. No, and then you've got the connection. Interesting enough to me, and that I've seen pop up in a couple different places, is the relationship with Byron Fager and the Community Foundation now.
Yeah.
And like all the different activities, I would have never thought that, again, the closeness of everyone would just be
the
there.
Collaborative Kitchen is actually, we are officially not for profit now.
Cool.
The guys at Cristados, they did all the heavy lifting. I'm just a mouthpiece. But so I think they filed, and we are an official not for profit. I don't think we're tax exempt yet. So and I think the varsity is very active in helping to fundraise for us, or try to at least. So
Yeah.
and that's been kind of a struggle, trying to get everybody fed. So
Yeah, man. It's just, you gotta focus on the important stuff first. We took advantage of, because Zach and Peyton being in Boys and Girls Club. We ate Boys and Girls Club meals for 2-3 months.
Yeah.
Before I got back into work and got other things going on. And it's like, have these meals. Like, they mean a lot.
good. Oh yeah, I'm glad it did.
And that's just one person. Amplify that over thousands of people over the course of months at a time. This shit's wild, man.
I just wish we had more money, so we can kind of expand what we're doing. We do one meal a week, and then to be we're kind of discussing if there's anything special we can do for Thanksgiving. So we're gonna try to do something for that, just to world is crazy, and I think people need a little bit of something to look forward to.
Well, and you gotta keep the media presence up, right?
Yeah.
Like you gotta do things at special points and times to ensure that the visibility of the activity is still there. Because you can be doing it all day long, but if people don't hear you, don't see you, like you guys have a couple folks, or at least one person, name starts with a J.
Jaleesa.
There you go. That's constantly sharing stuff to the group and making sure that that it's visible there. And I'm sure they're doing the same stuff in 100 different other places online. So that's a kudos to all those folks kind of in there and moving that. So back to main story here. So you guys get to Carbondale, mom and dad buy the restaurant, and is the rest history, or is there more?
I'm not sure where you're going with that question.
I'm just asking an open-ended question. From then to now, shucks, there's been the initial iteration of the restaurant, and then you and Jeff getting older and getting more involved in the business, the move of the business from its current location to where it is now. Like there's some story behind it. You guys have been in business for nearly 30 years now.
I think 93. It's 2020, so so we're almost to 30. So and that's crazy to think we've been here that long. But we've gone through just different phases. I think I really pushed for online ordering, point of sale, so we can hire locals to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's where you guys all came along. Yeah. Mike and you. Well, no, Mike had
Mike's the white guy that could do all the Chinese.
Yeah, he had to handwrite all the characters. and it looked like a kindergarten kid did it.
Oof.
We still tease him. He knows. We tease him to his face, so he
Hey,
knows.
he still remembers. Like multiple conversations when we talk, and it's like, and I still remember how to write this dish and that dish and that dish and.
But yeah, and then so we moved to a new location. I think 4 years ago,
Mhm.
5 years ago. Yeah, so um, you know, I think I think I run the outside purely now. Mom is she's pretty much semi-retired.
Yeah.
She makes sure we don't burn the store down.
How often does Mom check in the store?
Like once, twice a week, she'll pop in.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
So
drop
she's
food
still.
off to Dad or something. Yeah. So, she and we, I keep her kind of up to date on the comings and goings and whatnot. But plus we have good staff at the restaurant. I don't, like I'm here.
Yeah.
The store is not in danger.
Right.
And then Jeff runs the back. So, and Dad's getting kind of old, older. So, I would like for him to work a little less. To kind of, because he's been at it since,
He was born.
yeah,
I mean-
pretty much. Like, back in Taiwan, my grandpa, my dad, they would work the boats. They worked on boats. They did it's like an old school Asian, like a transport. It's like a barge, but on a piece of wood.
Yeah.
So they would load, cargo on this board, and they would just run it down river and whatnot. So that him and they watch boats when the weather was bad. So Dad's been working since he was maybe like 5 or 6. He didn't go to school at all.
Mm-hmm.
He's uneducated, and for him to run a great restaurant, to know that's the hard thing. I'll ask Dad, like, so what's the cost of this dish? Like, I'm trying to figure out cost of goods and things,
Mm-hmm.
and he can't tell me.
Yeah.
'Cause it's all in his head, and to me that's impressive.
Yeah.
That he's never went to school, but through hard work and just putting your nose to the grind, that you have a successful restaurant. So, but yeah, and he's been working. The days that he has off, he doesn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I really want to push for.
You can only peel so many oranges and drink so much Crown Royal.
He doesn't really drink any much.
Okay.
So he quit smoking too.
Good.
In case you didn't know.
Good. How long has that been?
It was I think almost a year, maybe.
Great.
Yeah, it's 6 months. It was funny. We went to see a doctor for his foot because he's got bad varicose veins from being on his feet.
Yeah. No, him and Jeff. I mean, Jeff's got it too, right?
Yeah. Just from probably too much information, but but yeah. But it's a working man's thing.
Yeah.
You're on your feet 13, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get stuff like that. You're gonna wear your knees out. You're gonna get varicose veins from just not having proper circulation.
Mm-hmm.
But it was funny. It was an Asian doctor, and he told. This is actually a really funny story.
Yeah,
we can get into it
tell
if
it.
you want.
I'm
So,
all about it, man.
so it's an Asian doctor. I won't say the name just because whatever. But I told my brother, I was like, hey, like, who's this doctor? I don't know who he is. And Jeff, it's like, it's you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So this doctor, he's of Asian descent. He speaks Mandarin, but he speaks conversational Mandarin like I do. So it was very weird because he was kind of a heavier guy, and short hair, and it was like a smart version of me, in a way. And then so it was funny because because I didn't go to school in Taiwan, like I didn't graduate high school or college in Taiwan, so I didn't really, I don't have that educational. I can do conversational Mandarin, but I can't do like technical Mandarin. And he had a similar background, so we would both kind of try to figure out how to say a certain term in Mandarin, and then so we both had like the same roadblock, and then so we kind of helped each other, or I felt at least that we helped each other finish the Mandarin sentence, because he knew how to say it conversationally, but when it came to certain terms, he would kind of pause a bit. And then, so he told Dad in Mandarin, like, if you don't quit smoking, you're going to die. Or I think he said, you're going to lose your legs. And that's all it took, apparently.
Yeah.
So I wish we'd have found an Asian doctor or a Chinese doctor years ago.
Yeah. To just say it
yeah,
the
you're
way
going to
that
lose your
needed
legs.
to be said for him.
Yeah, literally the next day he quit. And I'm like, after years of me hounding him to quit, one Chinese doctor to say, you're going to lose your legs. Okay.
Well, one Chinese doctor that looked and sounded an awful lot like his youngest son.
Sure.
And the fact that man's just got such sheer willpower that he's like, well, I mean, the man who's probably been smoking since he was 10 years old or
Probably,
whatever,
yeah.
that after 60 plus years of smoking is just like,
Okay, yeah. And I'm always looking like, is he gonna sneak one out when he's outside? And he doesn't. So, I'm surprised, but I'm pleasantly surprised.
well, the man's trying to live, and eventually he gets to enjoy himself.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Oh my God, that's wonderful, man. I love that. I love. I mean, just that man. I mean, and I know he, eventually has developed his feelings of me over the years is more of a pain in the ass than anything. But I mean, he's an inspiring individual to have watched work and to do all that, and then mom on the other side of things, right? I mean, she's somebody that gets how to not put up with shit in the service industry.
I'm not gonna say anything.
Oh, come on. She's never going to watch this podcast.
Nope. But other people might. And they'll be like, oh, I saw your son talk about you. And she'll want to look. And nope, we're not doing that.
Okay. All right.
I'm not too old to get my butt whooped.
Yes, I understand that. I understand that completely.
I'm going to get a sandal to the face.
I've been there. I'm on the inside, Will. You don't have to tell me twice. But no, I mean that was always an interesting thing, even before being a Nuka-Hala employee, being a Nuka-Hala customer, and your mom or Cornelius or whoever, right, bring out food, and if you didn't have your ticket, and if you couldn't verify and like have that minimal 10-second exchange with them so that they could do their job, right. Get the hell out of the way, man. Like,
what are you doing? No ticket, no food.
That's a philosophy, of checks and balances, and discipline that, arguably I think is prevalent in the entirety of the business.
Yeah, I mean, but like if you come to the restaurant now, it's a different atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of I don't know, modernize that a little bit, so we're not as harsh. I mean, if you cuss at my staff, gloves come off. Well, other than that, so we don't chide the customer as we've done some changes to kind of make sure that times are tough. So we're trying to retain customers to make them happy to make sure they come back. So
you guys are being nicer before the pandemic anyway.
Yeah.
So okay, can we talk about not uncle who had all the restaurants, uncle, but uncle who used to also be on the boats, uncle.
Also in the boats, uncle. Oh well, I don't think he really was on the boats. You mean like back home? You mean like back in Taiwan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. You mean mom's brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he was.
I guess I thought there was an interesting story there as well, but that
really.
may have also been my misunderstanding too. So
maybe.
No worries.
So I mean, he didn't speak English, so he really couldn't tell you, or correct you.
Who? God, I feel like one time after work, at some point, he was like, "Come over for beers" or something, like something very like minimal in communication. I feel like I was like went to his apartment once because he lived like over right off of
college, East College, yeah.
Like in those brick apartments or something?
Yeah. 16, 5 something, 5'10", I think.
It was just interesting. I mean, he was always really like, the nonverbal communication aspects of working with folks in a multilingual kitchen where there is that, language gap, that some of the funny things and just some of the physical communications and stuff that go on that make it, more tolerable work environment.
I mean, even like Dad, he doesn't he can't really speak, full sentences, but he can let you know what he's talking about. Yeah. And and I think if you've been there more than like a year and a half, you pick up on it, know.
Well, then I mean, does he still retain any of the kitchen Spanish from back in the day?
A little bit, yeah. So he'll say phrases, and I'm like, Dad, he doesn't speak Spanish. He speaks English. I don't think he speaks Spanish at all.
That's phenomenal.
But that's where the restaurant culture, I mean, in I think in larger cities, it's usually, Hispanics and Asians, working in the kitchen. So, it's I think even like when we were in New York, or Mom had a restaurant in Michigan as well, and it was mostly Hispanic guys working in the kitchen. So that's what we kind of grew up with. So
just all kind of came together.
Yeah.
When did you guys spend time in Michigan? Was that like a
That was pre New York. So I was born in Flushing, New York.
Okay.
And then I moved back to Taiwan because Mom then wanted me to get a proper education. And then I think when I was maybe like when I was a little bit, I don't exactly remember how old. We moved to Michigan because Mom and Dad opened their first restaurant with some relatives there. They got shafted in that endeavor. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay, I think that was one of the other stories that I was looking for as well, but we'll leave it at that. Gotcha.
So they they pretty much lost their life savings there, and then moved to New York to kind of make money and save money, and then were able to move here. So. Warren, Michigan, in case anybody's wondering.
Do what?
Warren, Michigan.
Warren,
yeah.
Michigan.
8 Mile Road, right in front of the restaurant. So.
Oh, so this was like around Detroit.
Yeah. It's I think maybe like 20 minutes from Detroit. Man.
I could only imagine a William Lowe if he was a Detroit kid instead of a New York kid.
I don't know. I was too young. I remember the restaurants out there more than anything else. I remember across from the restaurant, there was a National Guard armory because they had 2 huge tanks, just like old, just like a display.
Yeah.
And it was very cool as a young kid, like, oh, those tanks. And there was a place called Capers. It will forever be in my mind because it's an old. It's like if PK's had steak that was freshly sliced to the ounce, that would be this place. It's called Capers, and it's a bar through and through. It's dirty, it's dingy, it's dark. There was like
Great steak though.
What?
Great steak though.
Oh yeah, like phenomenal steak and mushrooms, and I mean I didn't drink obviously. I was like little, but you can get
weren't Jeff. No.
You can get tall boys of beer with your steak for cheap, and there's a little serving window. You look in there, and there's a guy just slicing the steak to the ounce, and I'll always remember that place. It's still open. I still like Facebook, Google stalk that restaurant in case I'm ever over there. I'm gonna go there.
Well, when you've got your own Food Network show, you can plan all these different things out. And
I'll tip my hair, a little bit. Hey, people talk crap about Guy Fieri, but he has changed millions of lives. It's like. I want to be that. I want to be Guy Fieri. He's changed. He's done so much for these mom and pop restaurants no one hears of, and then now there's people that go and look at where he's been, and then they'll look for what to eat, and they use him as kind of like a beacon. Oh, I want to go here. I want to go here, and before him, these little restaurants wouldn't be on anybody's radar. So,
yeah,
no bowling ball shirt or bowling shirt or whatever you call that.
He rolls really well with the punches too. Like he fully embraces who he is.
Yeah.
And just lets it hang out there. And then cool. He's one of those memeable people on the internet.
Yeah. And I think he knows it, and he's just like whatever, but I think he's done so much for charity, and he feeds, I think during different, natural disasters and whatnot, he's on the front lines feeding people. So I'm like, the internet can give him crap, but I still think he's a good guy.
Stand by Guy Fieri.
Yeah.
Stand by Guy Fieri. The rallying call this country needs right now. No, man, I dig it. I mean, and listen, anybody that's out there that pretends in public like they don't like diners, drive-ins, and dives, you're a liar and you're an asshole.
Yeah,
Like,
I guess, you know.
it's a good. It's all fun. Like,
Yeah.
and it's like like one of the first like really properly notable like Food Network shows or food shows in general that people still to this day like reference. People aren't talking about Emerald Lagasse still, right? Alton Brown is still in and out, but people aren't really into Good Eats
Yeah.
as this viral trend, and even like all the stuff that's come along in the meantime that's kind of been a similar remake of what he's done.
And nothing is stuck,
No,
so.
but that has. Do they still make new episodes of that?
I think so. I mean,
not in COVID times.
yeah. But yeah, I don't have cable TV anymore, but I still see stuff on YouTube and whatnot, and I still watch it, so.
Nice.
Yeah.
How do you guys like the new house?
It's good. I like it. It's more usable space, it's quiet. We're at the end of a street, so there's no cross traffic, nothing. So I like it. Wife likes it. Dogs like it, It's all that matters.
Everybody's
Cats like it. Yep.
Good. I mean, that other house is just the street was too busy.
Yeah, it was very busy. It'd be like 2 a.m, and there would be thumping country music. Like, not even good country music. Nothing against country music, but it's like that new garbage country
Hip
music.
hop.
Yeah.
Not even good hip hop. No.
And then they would just fly by, and I'm like, at least entertain me with better music,
Right?
If you're gonna wake me up, at least do better music.
If you're gonna steal my catalytic converter,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. I'm still upset that I didn't see that.
How would you have known?
I have 2 dogs. They're supposed to be flying out the window, chomping whoever's arm is.
But if somebody's out there just tweaking at 4 a.m, like gotta get the Sawzall, I wouldn't hold the dogs too liable for it.
Yeah.
They, and who knows? I mean, shucks, they could have done it in the middle of the day. I don't know. I don't know what people who steal catalytic converters operate like.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's not something that I understand or have insight into.
Yeah. I don't have that mentality of, when's optimal time for thievery?
I wonder if they had any copper wire in the AC on the side of the house too. Let's get it all while we're here. No, it's silly. People are gonna be like, "What are you guys talking about?" It's like, oh, it's part of the mystery. No, you don't get to know what we're talking about. You get to just like be along for the ride. That we're close enough that an inside catalytic converter theft joke makes sense to us and a handful of other people.
Yeah, if you're on Facebook with me, then I'm very vocal about griping about things that I feel like are injustices, and that's one of them. So.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's a very minor injustice compared to what's going on in the world. So,
Ooh, whoa, Will's getting deep on some shit now.
I don't want to be like, oh, the world revolves around me, because it clearly doesn't. So I wanted to clear that. Up.
Yeah, I mean, some of the world revolves around you, though.
A little bit.
Was the first time you were in the media, like quoted or like talked to anybody reporter wise, the time that you landed in CNN on that CNN article? Like, had you done any sort of news interactions before
I mean,
that?
like, if we're going way back, I think in middle school, I did accelerated reader, and then I was like the first person at Lincoln Junior High. It's not Carbondale Middle School. It's Lincoln Junior High. I think I was first to like reach this thing where you were principal for a day, and I remember being principal for a day. I think it was Dr. Barnett was principal, I want to say, and I remember I probably have the old VHS at home, somewhere where I like recorded the.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
There's an old videotape
Yeah.
of William Lowe being
Of
principal
me,
for a day.
Of me just walking down the hallway. I think the 2 things I remember is walking down the hallway, acting like I was something important, and also
Haven't stopped to this day. Very good.
There's a math teacher, Mr. Beasley. He had like some sort of snake, ball python, anaconda.
You were like,
I
give me
don't know
that
what it
snake.
was.
It's mine now.
No, so he brought it out to show me, and I'm like, Nope. Danger noodle. Nope.
Oh my god. I've just got this vision in my head of like you with this crown on your head and a staff and this like flowy red cape and just this like you were king principal for a day.
I don't know
It's
about
the
that.
funniest thing in my head right now.
I think you took a leap of imagination
I
there.
took the biggest leap of imagination that I could possibly. All the liberties were mine. No, okay. So that time, any other time, were you ever on the TV for the restaurant before? Had you
Nope.
ever talked to the newspaper?
Nope.
Like,
I don't think so. Not that I can remember.
so what's it like now, constantly being on the news, in the paper, on Facebook videos with people, doing dumbass podcasts with your old friends? Like, what is that like, going from nothing of that in your life to all of that all of the time in your life?
I mean, the novelty is worn off, definitely. And before, it was like, ooh, TV3 is coming. Now it's just kind of like, can we handle it if I talk to them for like 15 minutes? Are you guys cool with this? And then the rest of the guys were kind of like, oh, sure, So now it's just like, oh, it's just all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So we still get calls, but now it's to the point where, I mean, fortunately at the restaurant, we haven't been doing dine-in, so we're not impacted as much. So now when I get calls, I'm usually like, hey, like, just so you know, I would like you guys to spotlight another business that, because I don't need the publicity. I mean, more business is always good. I mean, I'm not going to say no to more business, but, there's other restaurants in town that are struggling, that, that are restaurants, full service, their food doesn't translate well to, like a styrofoam to-go box. So I've been kind of pushing them that direction just to, but I'm so happy to chit chat in front. I'm a lot more comfortable. I remember that I wish I could look for the very first video because it was like, oh,
I'm sure it's out there and easy enough to
yeah,
find.
I'm sure.
I feel like I remember stuff from a couple of years ago that like you were much more
Stiff.
Oh,
and like,
man.
I remember someone on Facebook, like, I think they were making fun of me or something, like in a lighthearted way of me saying like a lot, because it was like 8 a.m.
Yeah.
and I'm just like not awake yet, and I don't know what to say. I'm just like, yeah, this sucks. Yeah, support restaurants. Woo,
It's so funny to me now because 5 years ago I had a personal relationship with damn near every street beat reporter, from television, newspaper to whatever. Like there was something there, working the TV stations, whatever. And like now I feel like, oh crap, we've cycled out of all of the reporters, the TV stations, and a lot of other places that I've known. And now I just know them by the virtue of them all being in my Facebook group. Yeah. It's like every time I see one, I'm like, oh, cool, great. And then every time I see a news article out there, every time I see like a piece released from TV3 that's like this, and that happened, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You guys are paying attention to the group. That's all it took.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. I mean, that's not a bad thing. No. I have noticed that even on the East page, we'll have something. I think Hairless Chicken's a great example. I think I shared that Hairless Chicken is, they're opening next to the restaurant.
That shit went bonkers.
It did. And then
did you give them permission to use your picture? Because I'm pretty sure they used your picture.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean, but
I was just curious to know. Like,
yeah,
I recall it being like the picture you took being the news article picture. I was pretty sure.
And then they got a hold of him, and then they made a story. I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. I guess I'm glad I have that influence. I can get news teams to come out and do little things like that, which is cool. I mean, it helps restaurants. We help each other. So whatever.
Well, it makes it easier on a reporter, right? At the end of the day, like the more work that you can do for a reporter, the less work they have to do, the more likely you are to get that story.
Yeah.
Like that's all there is to it. Like, okay, cool. You're bringing this nice package to me. You're giving me who to talk to, what the topic should be. Like you're framing the news story for me, so I don't have to go out and spend an extra half hour to an hour running this through the paces. Like,
yeah,
thanks.
And it's local stuff. It's it's stuff that people want to hear and see and know.
Well, and it's fun, I'm bummed like Logan Gay, like she just left and went back to Indianapolis, and like it's now, so now we're due for, we'll be due for another.
Oh, did Logan leave?
Yeah. Like she
Oh,
She just posted that like 2 or 3 days ago.
oh yeah, she was real nice. There
Yeah.
was another lady who left too. I think she's
Brittany.
out in. Yeah,
Yep,
she's in
Brittany just left.
California now. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't know her, but I've talked with her once, maybe twice.
Uh-huh.
But you know, it's those connections, you know. But yeah, I think she left too. I think, unfortunately, you know, Carbondale is like a stepping stone.
Well, this the whole DMA, and I was talking to this with I don't know if it was with Tree Song or with John Politz. I've already butchered his name. Anyway, was talking to one of these guys about this in one of the previous podcasts, and it's like our DMA is a very unique DMA, rural but large.
Why aren't we eating like hot wings while we're doing this,
So
Nathan?
yeah, I've thought about the food components to it. Doug has been ducking me on like doing the podcast for a couple weeks now, and he's gonna like bring in a bunch of sweets, and we're just gonna like
Doug
shout.
from Keeper's Quarters.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're saying someone could talk Doug into filming a parody cooking show in his restaurant, but you can't talk him into?
No, I've talked to him. He's agreed to it. He's not trying to duck me. He's just been busy, man. And every time we try and link up, it's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, I've got a car full of plants that I got to go put into the restaurant. Which arguably he did have two
You
cars
need to
full
entice
of
him with
plants.
beer or something.
Yeah. Or other. Anyway, so the and no, so he's gonna bring in when we're just gonna like chow on sweets. Like that's the plan. Is to just like eat a bunch of stuff and talk.
I still think spicy food's where it's at.
I mean, no, I agree. Spicy food is where it's at, but it also
Not really. No, I the Death Nut Challenge. Say it for the record.
I don't think we did that right. I don't.
No. And I'm glad. And we knew that we didn't play it by the book.
Okay,
Like by the
right.
book, you had to eat all the nuts in the package in that compartment. You couldn't drink. But no, like I'm not about that. And just for the record, after doing that challenge, my bowel movement was not right for like a week. I was worried. I was like, if week 2, if it's still not normal, I'm gonna go see a doctor, and I'm gonna be like, oh, what happened? Oh, I ate some really spicy nuts on camera, and I'm sure the doctor would shame me, or I don't think he would shame me. My doctor's really nice,
Yeah.
but I think he would just be like, you need to make better life choices, Will.
So the tough part about this for me is like, okay, so spicy, right? And you don't, because one of those popular shows on the internet being hot ones, it's like anything spicy that's spicy conversation, challenge, whatever related is always going to get compared back to that. And it's like, okay, well, how do you manage not being a ripoff?
How you be unique? Yeah. I get it.
And there's like but there's not a bunch of other types of foods that have the same lingering effect that spicy foods do. You can't eat something sour and it like really, be able to occupy the feeling of sourness occupying.
You could do that mystery jelly bean thing.
No.
Yeah,
No.
do it. You don't want to interview somebody and get dirty socks in your mouth, randomly. Have you done it before?
I've not.
So it's jelly beans that you eat, and then they could taste like grass, boogers, spice, dirty socks, dirt, and it's random. You don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, so I think but the key to the spicy stuff being successful is that you take a bite of something and then that spiciness lingers,
Yeah.
right? And the building up. The issue with something that has an odd flavor, with something that is sour, with something that is even just a mass of food, none of this stuff lingers, right? The spice works because without having to do all the extra work, you can take a bite of something spicy and you can feel that for the next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that can occupy the content space as a feeling accompanying the conversation. And so if you what I'm saying is there's just nothing as good as being spicy out there.
Yeah.
And the spicy category has already been cornered.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you break through on that? How do you become the next viral hit sensation spicy show on the internet?
Yeah. I get it. You have to be unique. You gotta kind of pave your own way there without being rip off. So
Yeah.
I get it.
And chicken wings too, man. I mean, it's chicken wings or vegan wings or whatever. Like, it's all super easy to do that stuff. Even if you did do spice, well, what would your other spicy thing be? Would your other spicy thing be what other small dishes that you can eat in increment bites. Because it's not as entertaining if somebody's just going to sit there and eat the same bowl of noodles that's spicy over and over again. There's nothing. I'm not like, oh my gosh, they're eating the super. Oh, he's going to take another bite of the super spicy noodles again. Woohoo! Like,
You could do. I don't know. I'll think about it. I'll let you know.
I want to know now, Will. I want to know now. But I really do wonder, like, what are the other these do, and the gross out factor as well, because the gross out factor, people can work through spice, people don't necessarily work through gross.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I get it. Yeah. I can't watch those mukbang videos because that to me that's
the
just
what videos?
the mukbang or however you want to pronounce it. It's like a Korean viral thing where they eat where like tiny people that are like
They eat tiny people?
no. There are so every mukbang video that I've tried to watch usually is a little Korean lady or a little Korean man that is maybe 120 pounds eating this giant bowl of noodles in front of a camera, and that's the thing.
Oh,
and
that's like a mass amount of food.
yeah, it is a huge amount of food. I mean, I eat a lot, but I don't think I could touch that. But yeah, and it's always these very petite people, and they just put away all this food. Yeah, it's called like mukbang, and then they kind of chit chat. So they're your dinner companion. You're watching them eat, and you're probably eating something too. Normally if you're consuming media.
That is the saddest, most 2020 thing I can think of right now.
But I think it's been around for years. So.
Oh God! Well,
How have you not heard of that?
I don't know, man. When you started talking, I was thinking like the Balgrot or whatever, the half developed.
Oh, the balut.
Balut. Thank you.
Yeah, nope. I'll eat 1,000-year-old eggs all day, but I won't do balut.
What's the thing? The chew thing. Oh God, the Taiwanese,
the betel nut.
Huh?
Yeah, it's called like a betel nut or betel nut. And it's like chewing tobacco, but it's like natural, and it's they crack this nut and they put this herb thingamajig in there. They wrap it in like leaves, and then you just chew it, and then it makes your mouth look red, and then people spit it on the sidewalks in Taiwan. So it literally looks like people are just dying and puking blood everywhere. It's the most disgusting thing, but people in Taiwan do it. And then I don't know if it's still a thing. I'm pretty sure it's still a thing. Like the last time I went back, which was years ago.
Probably not a thing now because coronavirus, but before.
I'm sure it's still a thing. So every street corner would have these little stands, and they would sell this called betel nut thing, and you get a box of it for cheap. And then the last time I went, the industry upped their game, so they had women in bikinis sell those, and I'm like, yeah. So you literally had women scantily clad in a little street plexiglass thing, and you'd pull up next to them.
Okay, say the name of the thing one more time.
A betel nut. I think it's like BETEL.
That'd be the betel nut box, man.
I guess, yeah. So they would like you pull up next to the little stand, and the lady would hop off the little stool she's sitting on and walk over and sell you betel nut in like scantily clad outfit.
Did you ever try this stuff? I forget if you had said you had ever given it a run.
No. I'm good. Apparently, like it's very like euphoric, and it kind of warms your body. But it just does not. Just having a mouthful of red. It's like if I was to dye ginger red, and I would just chew on it. That's what it reminds me of.
Yeah. That's a very.
No,
maybe that's the maybe something like a ginger flavor that's somewhere between like pungent and spicy and like all these different things that make ginger. Maybe there's something there with a food challenge.
So there's a funny story, especially to Mike earlier. So I went to Mike's family for, I think it was like dinner or lunch or something one time, and his mother offered me like candied ginger. Never had it before. I was like, sure, try everything twice is what I say. so she gave it to me, and I tried it, and I bit into it, and it was very clear on my face that I did not like it at all. I hated it, but I was too polite to like spit it out. So I was like very slowly like just trying to chew on it to and then she looks at me. She goes, "Will, if you don't like it, you can spit it out, right?" I'm like, "Are you sure? I don't want to be rude." So no, yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. Not appealing to me.
not for Will. No, I really do feel like something there, like something along the lines of, just pungent roots, different types of herbs that have lingering.
If you can get durian.
What?
Durian? Durian is that fruit that's I think native to like Singapore or Malaysia.
Uh-huh.
It's like banned in airports, hotels, public places
Oh shit.
because it smells like garbage.
Yeah, no, that goes back to the grossness that I'm not trying to.
But
get
it
into.
smells like garbage.
Oh,
but
it tastes like.
But it tastes. Supposedly it tastes good. I've never been able to get over the whole. I've never been able to get over the smell. But people love it, But I'm like, but yeah.
Is it like this larger, weird, like black and white
it's
pineapple
like
looking thing?
Yeah, it's like bigger than a pineapple.
Okay.
So yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
I think you're going to get it frozen anyways. I don't think it stinks if it's frozen, so probably not.
No, now I'm like trying to envision this because I feel like I've seen this before, but I just can't.
You need an assistant, and you need like a TV. So while we're talking, kind of like the Joe Rogan podcast, they have some dude. I can't think of his name. He'll pull up some stuff and they'll fact check things.
I wish Joe Rogan didn't embrace so many white supremacists.
I'm not a fan of Joe Rogan. I mean, I listen to his podcast, but I pick and choose. I really like his wildlife ones. When he's talking about like animals and he had one episode about coyotes. I have never thought I would be interested in coyotes, but I like his wildlife stuff because that's what I don't listen to his jujitsu, martial arts stuff. It doesn't appeal to me, but his wildlife stuff is really cool.
No,
so
I'm more concerned about his like platforming. But it to me one of the bigger issues is the guys like Tim Pool, right? Guys that create this air of credibility around uncredible news, right? The stuff that he did on Sweden several years back kind of set the stage for what he's doing now.
Yeah,
and Joe Rogan's like, you know what really needs to happen? People need to hear 3 hours of this guy talking. Millions of people that could easily empathize with this guy's bullshit definitely need to hear his message. And it's like,
and then they listen to him, and then he appeals to their senses, and so they gravitate towards that.
Yeah. Well, this is a bullshit of he sells the concept of enlightenment, right?
Yeah.
And like he's both saying, come and get enlightened with me, but also, I don't know shit. I'm just exploring things. It's like, come on, man, you don't get to be both wildly influential and then say, oh well, I'm just thinking about things. Aren't I allowed to think about things? It's like, yeah, you're allowed to think about things.
Have you tried DMT? Do you want to try cryo something with me? that is all. His shows always include those two statements. Do you do MT or whatever that's called? I don't even know what it is. I think it's some sort of. I think it's like some sort of legal drug, maybe, or something. I don't really know.
No, the DMT is like the stuff that you're.
Go.
Oh God, now I'm gonna sound like fucking Joe Rogan. No, man, like DMT is the stuff that your body releases when you die, and it's like if you smoke it while you're alive, it like takes you on this like trip down this railroad full of like cactuses, full of the freshest water you've ever. I don't know, like but no, to have lived that life, I mean, it's an interesting. Going through his stages of development that he's gone through and getting to where he's at now. It's like, Joe Rogan was just another guy at some point in time 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's like you put in the grind and you see what pops out on the other end. And somebody could have just as easily said, oh, it's 2004 and I'm the host of Fear Factor and there's the peak of my career. Or, hey, it's 2009 and I'm calling, Ultimate Fighting Championship matches. I'm done there. And then, no, it just like kept going. This is, I will say from a technical standpoint, it's like I looked at some of his original stuff, right? The stuff that he filmed 7-8 years ago that looked like it was filmed on a potato with a potato,
Yeah.
right? And it just, I was like, oh, fuck, man, this is how Joe Rogan's podcast
That's
started
where we
out.
started. Yep.
Now 7 years it's here. It's like, all right, man, it's time to flip the switch. Like, there's no excuse now to not do this. So who do I mean? Because you're a huge podcast guy.
Well, I listen to all kind of podcasts. Yeah.
What drew you into that? I mean, when did you start like being a?
Oh, I mean, just I think this is maybe like a year, 2 years ago. You know, I deliver a lot, so I mean, I deliver 2 nights a week, and that's 6 hours in the car, just driving around, listening to rock music, and I'm sure if you've seen me fly down your street, it's usually rock music or something. But I was like, yeah, I love music, but it's not educational. So I started looking into like audiobooks and podcasts, and that's all I do now pretty much. You know, I think I took a break last week. One day I listened to music. I'm like, this feels weird. But yeah, I listen to like restaurant podcasts, marketing podcasts, management podcasts, you know, some news. Business Wars is really fascinating.
What do you feel like it has done for you?
I think it's just really, you know, it's kind of, I would hope improve my management, you know, interacting with people, you know, managing people, and, you know, kind of learning how other restaurants do, you know, have their processes and systems and whatnot. And I hope that I could, you know, take it and then learn from it and then just make it my own. You know, I've also met some, you know, podcasters. I add them to Facebook and we chit chat every now and then. So that's been, I've met a lot of people, and kind of through their networks, I've added other people, and then they post marketing things, restaurant marketing things. And that's really helped me grow, I guess, my Facebook. Just to kind of like, that way my, you know, what I see in my feed is not just getting drunk or so-and-so had a baby, you know, or whatever.
So-and-so's got a drunk baby. Oh, no!
Yeah, you know, or so-and-so, whatever, you know. So that way, like...
Can we tell the chopstick story?
What chopstick story?
The chopstick story of you-know-who being very young.
I caught a fly with a chopstick?
No, not caught the fly with the chopsticks, the whiskey and the chopsticks.
Oh, so my grandpa would... you know, he was an alcoholic, pretty much, you know. Right. And he would dab little ends of chopsticks in whiskey and kind of get my brother drunk, you know. So, not, you know, I'm sure Americans did that back in the day too.
Oh yeah,
I'm
no,
sure.
I mean,
isn't that like an old American?
I mean, heroin
like
used to be a medicine.
Yeah, like a you know, if your baby was teething, you know, you would get it drunk, and you know, your baby would stop crying or whatever, you know. So perfect. It's the same thing.
And that's who's running the country now. No, so sorry, I didn't mean to get off topic there. I had that one in the back of my mind. It was like, oh yeah.
You've been waiting this whole time.
The whole that was the whole point of this podcast.
Your whole reason to start a podcast. You wanted that story for public.
Oh man, we haven't even talked about how many times you and Jeff have fired me. That's.
Couple times. I think we fired you. Is it like 3 times? I think
twice, maybe at least 2? Twice, maybe 3 times.
Yeah.
You know, does ghosting count as firing or not? Kinda not. Or you know, if you're just on call, I don't know. Neither here nor there. But every time, it's just, you know, it's fun. It's fun, and it never. Right. The weird part is it's never. Well, I mean, I wouldn't even say it's weird. Right. It's never impeded on a relationship.
Yeah.
Right. It's just like, oh fuck, like your brother's just like, okay, I'm tired of dealing with Nathan. That's it.
Yeah.
And,
I think it's just kind of having that line between personal and business, you know. So, you know, there are people that I know. There are some of my friends that I wouldn't go to business with, and vice versa. You know, just because you have to know where the line is at, and sometimes you shouldn't blur it. You know, so that's how I feel about that.
No, and I think, you know, we've done a good job of that in our own endeavors, and I think that these interactions that we had over the course of time, you know, whether it was you leaving the business or me getting fired or whatever it may be, like being involved in this type of stuff where there was like a clear, like, you know, intermixing of, you know, business and personal, activity, it's like, okay, well, yeah, that kind of lends itself to where we're at now, and why even after 2 years of us still trying to get stuff together and off the ground, that like we're still just cool
Yeah,
on it,
you know.
right? And that it's Craig's money, so haha, no. mostly. Oh, Wally, I forgot to tell you this. I'll say it on the podcast because now it's just pertinent. Wally may be interested in the chairs and the bar stools. So here in a couple weeks, he's gonna hit me up. When I went and got biscuits and gravy on Saturday, I was like, you should take some time to reassess your situation. I even told him, I was like, go talk to Doug. I was like, Doug has done nothing but meticulously replan his operations and hone himself for the past couple months until he feels like he's where he wants to be for the rest of his endeavor in this business.
Yeah. And, you know, it's good because, you know, you're never going to, you know, nothing ever works to plan.
Yeah.
But it's good to kind of have that as an excuse to, like, figure things out. Like, hey, this isn't working. I'm going to take this downtime to, you know, do other stuff. So
entrepreneurship is flexibility, right?
Yeah.
I think Jason at the printing plant's a really good example of that. Like the dude's always been changing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've, you know, like I think he's pretty active in Tom's place. They have a whole marketplace set up in there.
Oh yeah. I saw losses.
Yeah, and then
I should
even him, he you need to get lost on your.
So
your
I was going to
podcast.
ask you about that, and not because I can't reach out. He actually just added me on LinkedIn the other day. But I was thinking about it. I was like, is Lost close enough to that Carbondale community? It's like, yeah, of course he is. He's
think so.
Tom's place in DeSoto. Like,
That's
he's
pretty
essentially
much Carbondale. What?
What did you say?
That's pretty much Carbondale.
Yeah, pretty much Carbondale.
Sorry, DeSoto folks.
You are one of us. No, so and I thought, you know, we've got all sorts of stuff that we can talk about. You know, Anderson Yard at Hedman and the relationship there, and you know, all the cool stuff that they're doing. I've got I hit Rob up for Angie's email probably a month or so ago. I just haven't reached out to her
over
yet.
at Spiel.
Yeah, because I mean they just moved to Carbondale.
Yeah, they're across from the restaurant.
Yeah, which is kind of neat, man.
Yeah,
like,
I think
that's
so.
a really cool spot to put in a production studio.
I think so.
You know, and they make top quality work. I mean, shucks, Rob, and oh god, one of the kids, last name Taylor, can't remember his first name. Dying right now, but he's one of the folks that have helped us film the stand-up comedy specials. Rob was our you know, chief guy on those shoots and stuff. It's like I've used her people to do this film. Of course, I mean everybody that's in film works freelance. It's not like you know she gets to dictate one way or the other. But I thought, you know, hey, she's a notable person. People that are a little bit older are going to remember her from being TV3, you know, many years ago. You don't remember Angie being lead anchor on TV3 with Eden Schultz?
I spent my childhood in the restaurant,
okay.
Nathan.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm sorry. Shame on me. You're right. No, you're right.
From 9 to whatever, I didn't watch TV.
What was it like growing up working in the restaurant?
It sucks. No, I'm being realistic. I think it's taught me good work ethics, and you know, I mean, I know that I could, you know, flourish whatever job I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, food service. I think everybody should do food service at least once in their lifetime. It can be the most unrewarding job. People walk all over you. People are just mean and nasty because they're hungry. You
ever had to spray somebody's shit, literal, off the side of a wall with a garden hose down to a center drain? You don't even know how humbling that can be until you have to do it yourself.
and I think, you know, I think everybody should do it. I think everybody should do it at least once for a year in their life. Should do food service, and it gives you a whole perspective on life. Don't, you know, work at food service. It doesn't have to be McDonald's, anywhere, you know. But I forgot what we're talking about again.
No, man, we're actually going to end the podcast right there because I like to end on lessons, and that was a great lesson. Lesson being, if you've not worked food service in your life, you should treat people who work food service or any sort of service retail activity with respect. But if you've are at a point in time in your life where you've got some elasticity to do some food service work and you've not done so already, you should do it because it'll make you a better, more well-rounded individual. Will, thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you all for tuning in for episode 17 of the WTF Carbondale podcast. And as I've made it into my sign off, have a good one, whatever that one may be.